A lot of people asked this question. It was probably the most asked question of all the people. A good 4 people asked this very same question. One person even added a stipulation onto it. Neville Gaskins, Apollo's Imagination, Walt Hitchcock, and Inugami the Hound all asked, what is everyone's individual favorite furry visual novel game? And Inugami the Hound also asked least favorite. We'll do the least favorite afterwards if you are interested, but I struggle with this one. This one's hard.
I mean, I also struggle if some of them are like most or least favorite based on personal or maybe some experiences we've gone through, but I'll try my best to be as not objective, but as,
it's
not biased as possible.
But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I'm always someone that has to be like, I have to go through all of it and make sure it's a definitive, declarative statement. I weighed everything against everyone. I think for purposes of this, since we didn't have time to go through all of them and make sure it's all, let's just go with which one feels like your favorite right now, and no one hold it against us if literally tomorrow or in the future, near future, we're like, actually, nah.
That's all good.
Just in all fairness, because I did my best not to think about any of these questions. Obviously, I had more ahead of time than everyone, but the rest of you are getting this question fucking out of the blue. So
we all know what the right answer is. I say as I put on my boxing gloves.
Look up the shield.
Oh, I'm ready to fight. I don't care.
Let's do it.
All right, let's see what let's hear what this does.
Who am I gonna pick to be the first one to say it? Dirk the Red Panda, and you can't pick your own.
Oh, shucks. Man, I can't plug my own visual. But it's all good.
You got to plug it at the top of the fucking thing. You can't.
Yes, top, bottom, middle, just everywhere. But my favorite visual novel, being serious with that, there are a couple of really good ones I've found over time. If I would have to evolve over it. But if I had to say my most recent favorite that I've really been attached to, I have to say Password has really shocked me of all of them recently, because I took a break from Password for a little while. I had like a couple of months at the end of last year where I took a step back and kind of offloaded some novels, had to make some tough cuts just because it was a lot to do online and I was really burning the candle at both ends. But when I got back into Password, the past few updates have been very engaging to me. You really attach to the characters, and I just really felt the pain of the characters and all this. And even if the concept itself felt very contained, not just locationally, but in the sense of you just have the same 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 characters in it, they all really develop to me. I really feel attached to Tyson and Dave's connections. I'm not going to go too deep in any spoilers with that, but the further you get into it, you really see the characters, and even the ones that I was like a little more either apathetic to or felt like, maybe they might be up to something no good. Like there are characters like that, like Roswell and Oswin, that the further I got into just really hit me well, and you find out more from them. And even in routes where you don't pursue them, it's like everybody feels so well-rounded. You really feel for all the characters. You don't want anything bad to happen to all of them the more you play it. And yeah, it's just a great development. The game itself with the passwords and the logic of all that really worked out well. People are making their whole conspiracy theories. I have a friend who was super into that and sending me password memes, and that whole community is just a fun community to say. So long story short, I'd say that's my favorite visual novel as of today. Checks clock, September 25th, 2022. My time is 8:34 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will change any minute now.
'Tis the nature of favorites. Marshmallow Bears.
I'm going to guess a lot of people are, just because it's a hyperfixation, a lot of people are going to expect me to say Echo. But no, I barely counts as a visual novel, but I'll count it because in my heart of hearts, it has to be Night in the Woods. That is one of my favorite games of all times. The characters, the setting, everything just spoke to me on a level no other game has spoken to me before. And it's just very, very personal to me. Growing up in a small Midwestern town, it just felt like the game was speaking to me.
Very nice. Fallenwolf.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no! What am I to do?
Okay. So for me, I know I mentioned it earlier, with one of the voices. I'm gonna say 4-letter word. Still to this day, that's still probably my top favorite furry visual novel. Echo would probably be a close second, but I still 4-letter word, and it's partially because it has I relate to it in a personal way. 4-letter word. I relate to it in a somewhat personal way, but I really enjoyed a lot about it. I thought it did very well with feeling like the setting was a very realistic setting. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but one of my issues. Again, this is a personal issue, so I don't want anybody to take offense to it. One of my personal issues with a lot of furry visual novels is they tend to try to make the world where these where these people exist very fantastical, and I don't have anything against that, but I kind of always have had a thing for like sci-fi or fantastical ideas set in a more contemporary time, and I feel like a 4-letter word feels very very, very contemporary. Like everything that's discussed and whatnot in that that visual novel is very modern, and I feel like it's very relatable to our time. There's a lot of various different real life themes in there, and I related to it very well. Obviously, I don't want to say really a lot because I don't want to spoil it. But honestly, I think part of the reason is just the personality. Like I said, the how I personally relate to it. And yeah, that's unfortunately that visual novel has been put on indefinite hiatus. Hopefully, it will get worked on again. But if not, it was. I still think it's a fantastic visual novel.
Nice.
Well, like Dirk said, as of today, the 25th of September at now 8:38 p.m.
Oh, we're on the same time zone now.
Yeah, for another month or two.
Mm-hmm.
But probably at the moment, I would say Echo.
Nice.
I did a whole 50-minute video talking about Echo like a year and a half ago now. So I said a lot of things I want to in there, but it was, as I say in the video, basically it was what really got me into the whole furry visual novel genre. I'd played one before, and it's okay. And then Echo, interesting. Okay, now I'm really into this. I need to see what's going on. And it's just the variation we get in the different routes of things happening, the secrets that are there, the whole horror aspect, something I enjoy. And part of it as well is, of course, we have Chase, and he's going back to their hometown after not too long. I've actually done that as well, because I'm from Britain, as most people realise. I live in Canada, and going back to where I grew up after a few years away, it's kind of odd in a way, but also very familiar. It's a hard thing to explain, and I can feel that a bit with what Chase narrates in Echo. It's that feeling that things have changed, things haven't, and there's something not quite right because you've been away and you've changed, but the town hasn't. So it's quite a few things like that, and just, well, I have to mention the reveal of what happened to Sydney without going into great detail. Really surprised me. I was not expecting that. And yeah, there's a few things like that. I would have to put Echo at the moment as my most favourite.
Very solid pick. Do you guys feel it would be pertinent or a worthwhile endeavor to do the least favorite as well?
Oh,
I can start a fight. If no one else wants to, I can start a fight.
Let's bring a boxing ring to the campfire.
Well, then let us go in
Fight it.
reverse order again. Let's continue. Blaidd Llwyd, least favorite visual novel.
Well, furry visual novel.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much all the ones I played. That's really a tough one.
Don't be shy.
Uh-oh. Spill the tea.
Probably if I had to go with one, I'd say I'd probably go for Blackgate. Because it started off against the first VN I actually read. Very interesting, a lot of interesting stuff. And for one reason or another, which if people know about stuff, I'm not going to explain it now. Things have not gone too well with it. It's not had any updates. It's really, there's this potentially very good thing. I think Blaidd made a few errors. He maybe done less routes and so on. But yeah, I don't know if it's ever going to be finished. And for something that looked like it could have been really interesting to what we have now, yeah, I'm not too happy with where things have gone. So if I had to choose a least favorite one, mainly for the potential that has not been realized, I'd go with Blackgate.
That's a good reason. Fallenwolf.
Oh, jeez. Well, at first I was going to say one furry game, but then I was like, I wouldn't consider that a visual novel. At first I'll say it because I don't care. First I was going to say Amorous, and then I was like, that's not even a furry visual novel. I wouldn't even consider that
that's more of a dating sim.
Yeah. So then I was like,
the game.
Yeah. So that's not it. For me, I actually would say Lagoon Lounge.
Oh,
It's a good
about
pick.
that one.
Lagoon Lounge, there's a reason. Lagoon Lounge, I'm not going to get into it. For me, it's mostly because there are a lot of problematic issues, not least of all with the main character. I remember when I first played it, I was like, okay, this seems like a cute little, somewhat slice of life, in like a Japanese kind of culture, with a lot of Japanese culture installed into it. And then as I played along, I said, there's something wrong with this main character. But then I was like, well, maybe they get better. That's a thing. I've read stories, characters get better. And then as I go along, I'm like, this character's not going to get better, are they? And no, they didn't. They got worse. They got a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
And by the end of it, I was severely disappointed. And I never played the other two because Lagoon Lounge, for people that are watching this video, Lagoon Lounge is a trilogy. There are 3. I played the first one myself. I did not play the second and third one. I actually, funnily enough, watched VivianJade play. I watched you. I don't think you played 3. I don't think you ever finished 3. I watched you play 2. I think Ookie Cookie played all of them as well. So I watched him play 3, but I watched you play 2. And I was like, I'm really glad that I decided not to go out of my way to try to get this game installed on my computer because I was blown away. The character gets so much worse. And yeah. So basically my reason is Lagoon Lounge has a lot of very the main character is very unlikable. They do very little to improve themselves. And they do a lot of very, very bad things. I'll just say that. They do a lot of very bad things. So Lagoon Lounge would probably be my at least that I've played so far. Lagoon Lounge would probably be my worst. I do not like Lagoon Lounge.
I frequently consider taking those videos down.
I took them down from I took them down from 2 mixes. I was getting a lot of strikes. I actually got 2 strikes from that playlist, along with just the fact that I really don't like where things happening. And when I watch it now, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have these on. So
yeah, those videos may not be long for this world. Anyone who's watching this likes that that series specifically.
Right.
Be warned, those videos may not be on very much longer. Marshmallow Bears.
Here's
your fight.
I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I can't stand the smoke room.
Really?
Oh,
I'm not gonna say a lot of the reasons why, because a lot of them are personal. But God, the writing. I'm a fan of Echo, so I can stand when bad and depressing things happen. But there is not a lick of happiness in that whole fucking story. It's just misery after misery after misery. Oh, let's just add on some more bad shit to happen out of nowhere. Not needed. The only light in that whole visual novel for me was Cliffy. Many people know Cliff is my waifu. I love him. I only read his route now. But I tried reading one of the most recent builds, and I couldn't. I couldn't. It was just so bad. The writing was so bad.
Aww.
It's definitely a hate read for me now, though. It's to me, it's a dumpster fire that I'm just like, time to see what's going on there. Oof, that's bad.
If I may ask, if I may ask your opinion on that, and like based on the Echo, not universe itself, but just the Echo location, like what are your thoughts on that with Arches? Like, is it a similar, like it's all sad, no happy?
Oh, I like Arches.
Really?
Oh,
really?
You
Yeah,
like
Arches is fun.
I don't like the smoke room.
I feel like
but
when I
it's just
see it,
because I have Arches has some light in the darkness. It's
really
fucking
yeah.
weird.
There's some light in the darkness, but
it's like
for Smoke Room, it's just it. I don't know. And there's just a lot because with Arches, I can see the story getting better. Like I can see, okay, these characters are fighting and I can see it getting better. There was a little bit of time in Arches where I was like, yes. This is gonna go bad, and I'm very nervous. But yeah, I don't see that with Smoke Room. It's just.
I mean, that's a pattern I sometimes notice in all like those Echo, like not all Echo Project Universe, but I guess I'm specifying like the Echo City based stories, Echo Town based stories, where there is some of that. How can it get worse? I personally enjoy all three, but I totally get why each of them people may not like. I've seen people where they hate just Echo, but maybe like the Smoke Room or hate the Smoke Room. But
also just
either combination.
I get one of the main characters is a prostitute, and so there's going to be a lot of sex in the story, but you don't have to fucking put a sex scene in every single update. There was a part where Sam basically cheated on Nick, and I got mad about that.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I know.
And I was like, what are you doing? This is no.
Yeah, it's like
you can't have someone tell you they want to be monogamous with you, and then you go and immediately sleep with someone else. Nah, that made me mad.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my hot take, and I've gotten flack on stream for that, where people are like, no, it's good. And I'm like, no.
But like to be fair, like what Dirk said, I still haven't played. Unfortunately, I really do want to play Smoke Room because what I've heard, is interesting about it. But I've had similar options of people who've played all the Echo Project VNs, and I've had some people that are like, oh, like I really didn't like Echo, but I love Smoke Room, or like I said, vice versa, where maybe they're like, oh, like I really, loved Echo, but I don't really care for Smoke Room. So to be fair, it is, while it seems like a hot take, I know, like I said, I personally know people that have kind of like, don't like every story in the Echoverse, but like certain ones. So
yeah. It's definitely, there's definitely a flavor for everyone.
Yeah,
it's a very mixed bag with that.
I've been on the receiving end of a few of those where like,
Ooh.
on my I've been very vocal on a number of things, you most notably on your March Madness thing where people will be for some fucking reason voting for a lot for Leo.
Why?
I know, it's confusing.
and I just don't fucking get it.
If we want to talk about that, we'll talk about Brian too. Surprisingly, having some.
Are you?
Oh my God.
What?
Don't
What?
get me started. That is so much worse. You don't know.
No. You guys
know?
don't know the half of it. You guys don't know the half of it.
I've been having discussions with Blaidd here and there, and I'm just I don't understand it. We're both like I don't understand it.
So
Depraved fucking sick fucks.
I personally believe most people talking about Brian are joking, but I personally know someone who's down so bad for Brian that it's just like, damn, I kind of respect you, because his thing is not that I can fix him. It's that, no, I like him how he is. I think his faults are funny.
What?
They're sexy. And it's just like, damn, dude.
What?
Love you. God.
Oh, okay. That's all.
Yeah.
That's very concerning.
That's a topic we might want to steer from. But just, I'm not sure if March Madness has brought the best or the worst out of people with that. That's a thing we could talk about another time. Because
I think I'm having an aneurysm.
But no, Brian, I remember seeing stuff and I was like, oh man, I really love the art. What is it? The Painted Fox, I think his Twitter name is, that does the art for Arches.
Oh, Paint Fox.
The Paint Fox. Yeah, I really enjoy the art for that. And I remember seeing Brian, and I was like, oh, the art's really done. But I wasn't anyway, oh man, he's great, because I remember playing. I haven't finished Echo, but I remember playing Leo's route and him and that, and I was like, oh, I hate this guy. He's and remember seeing people thirsty. I've seen so much when I try to look up Echo stuff. There's so much not safe for work Brian stuff, and people in the comments like, oh my God, I love him. He's so great. Oh, and I'm like, what?
I don't.
Yeah. But that's a whole thing. I feel like we could have a whole podcast on that, about the whole we could have a whole podcast on the whole idea of how much looks matter in the furry fandom, especially when it even just the fictional stuff, because there's some characters
those for whom their priorities are beyond fucked.
It's like when you have a class. I want to get off. Yeah. It's like when you have a class that talks about this one chapter, but there's a whole separate class on it for a whole semester or whatever, and that feels like when you talk about characters and stuff like that, where you're like, how does this work? You can have whole theses and stuff on this stuff. It can get into a
you can have a character that is the most fucked up person, but give them big man titties, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, wooga.
Mm-hmm.
Dirk,
our tits.
Oh,
Dirk, for the love of donuts, tell me what your least favorite furry visual novel is, and get us the fuck out of this topic.
I guess we've built it up for so long that I'm just hopefully it can't get any worse. This is another one that people might fight me for just because of my experiences with it, but how some people may have very strong opinions on this story. My least favorite visual novel is Far Beyond the World.
I promise I won't say anything.
That would have been mine, but I haven't read it. So
Dirk, I think you lost a few subscribers.
Well, I feel like I may have lost some when I told people I'm not playing the series anymore. But the reason I've stopped is just the story itself felt like it just had less and less redeeming qualities within it, or certain logic points of why characters did certain decisions just became less and less believable to me, or less I don't know, understandable or sympathetic. And then it got towards an end where some of the things that they were doing were very unrealistic, especially a part about drinking where they got just way beyond hammered. And at the time I was having a really bad stint of alcohol issues at the moment. And so I guess I should put a trigger warning of that, just a bad alcohol incident with that. And so I had a really bad hangover that I wasn't sure if it got to the point of alcohol poisoning, but it was I had then read Far Beyond the World that following night and seen them just downing drink after drink after drink, and seeing them talk about it, and it's like I was counting how many drinks this one character was doing, and it was like they had like 8 or 9 drinks, and that was like the moment that snapped for me of like these characters just feel very unbelievable beyond to me, and so that just took me out of it. And that final episode I did, there was a twist at the end of it where it was like, oh, was it all a dream type of thing? And that's when I just was like, it had jumped the shark for me. I could not keep myself playing it. I stopped playing it. I cut myself off from even reading it offline. So I'd hear people talk about anecdotes and their experiences with it later on. But for me, I've been content just leaving it be. I don't need to go into I need to keep reading it to hate read, but it's just something where I've read it. I've kind of felt a decline with it as I got over time with it. And by the end of it, I just closed it, put it away, and just said, this is not for me. I'm going to go with something else. And if people don't like it, that's their thing. If people like it, that's their thing. I'm happy that, the creator themselves can still do what they can, and people are happy with it. But it's just not my jam, I guess, is what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna, just because I don't like the story. It's like the whole separate art from the artist. I think you've mentioned that before, Vivian, on a podcast.
Leave me out of this.
I'm sorry. Should we cut that out?
No, just leave me the fuck out of this.
I guess this is a thing. I guess I need to keep it as contained to myself as possible, because it feels like if people, I don't know, it's sometimes you talk about stories, and if other people kind of tag in or tag out, then it's like collateral damage and all that stuff.
No, y'all can talk amongst yourselves.
Just
don't. I said I won't say anything.
My personal opinion. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this without coming across as I'm attacking. Because at the end of the day, you do whatever you want. Well, I mean, for the most part. So for me, I had heard about Far Beyond the World for a while. I'd watched Blaidd's videos, which are great. I really enjoy his. I really enjoy your Far Beyond the World videos. They're really good. Besides the point, though. Besides me, stroking Blaidd's, ego.
Yeah, that. Oh, shit.
Blaidd.
For me, usually I'm for the most part, I'm pretty, I try to tend to keep myself, I try to separate work from the creators. For me, I had thought about playing it, but there was a mix of, one, I play it with a bunch of friends. For some reason, I watched one of my friends play through it. Not you, Blaidd, but yes, you, Blaidd. I watch you too. But, and for me, I have a limit for me with creators and their works. Like, obviously, here's a good example. Again, I'm not trying to start anything, but like J.K. Rowling. That's a really good one. I'm sure Vivian, you know about J.K. Rowling.
Oh yes.
I used to really enjoy Harry Potter. That was one of the books. Being honest, when I was growing up, that's one of the books that got me into reading. And to this, and even now, I still will be like, yes, that was what got me into reading. But I've separated there's a limit to how far I can separate a work from the creator before I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want anything to do with the series. I don't, because the creator, I don't want to. And it's kind of like how it is for Far Beyond the World with me. That, as well as another VN that I will not bring up because the creator tends to attack people who talk about it, so I will leave the other VN alone. But like, if for me, it's like there's a limit, and I don't enjoy certain things that were said by the creator, and so I refuse to support the work. That's my opinion. Whoever wants to continue to support their work, I wish you the best, and the creator themselves, I wish you the best and your endeavors, your creative endeavors. But for me, that's mainly why I will refuse to play that on my channel.
It's fair,
as well as a mix of what Dirk said. I have seen stuff, and I strongly have a lot of issues with certain writing aspects of certain characters, and the way that, in my opinion, I do not appreciate how homosexuality is treated in that story. But that's me. So
I think we wrapped that one up pretty well. We moved away from one topic to another. Well, let's put it away. Let's put the landmine away.
Yeah,
Sure,
well,
don't
that
step on it.
was my piece. Like I said, and like I said, everybody's entitled to what they want to like, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm telling you you're wrong if you like this, but
Yeah, it's our word. We take it with a grain of sand or whatever. We're not gospel, whatever the phrase is.